Good evening, Vineland High School football fans, and welcome to Historic Gittone Stadium for Thursday night football here on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel. Kyle Bennett, Rich Scarpa up here in the booth, and Rich, my oh my, is it good to be home.
Ain't it good to be back home again? 4 games on the road to start the season is a tremendously tough task normally. Throw in a Saturday game, a Thursday game, a game at a midget league field, a game at a park. I mean, the field was perfect in St. Joe's on that, but you're still playing in a park, you know, so now some more traditional, except we're on this Thursday, but what a great way to get a weekend started.
And it is the Fighting Clan playing host to Clearview, a somewhat familiar opponent. They seem to pop up on the schedule over the past 5 years or so, if not 3 to 4 times over the last 5 years. We've seen Clearview, and obviously dating back as well when Isaiah Pacheco was here, there were some battles with Clearview, but good to be home. Vineland in their acetate gray uniforms. We'll have more on those in just a second. Clearview in their white tops, green bottoms, and your Fighting Clan is set to receive this opening kickoff, and the offense will start things off with the ball first in this one. This one's booted, and we are underway here at Gittone Stadium as Xavion Diaz brings it up past the 20, past the 30, up to the 40, stays on his feet, leaps over a player, and goes out of bounds just outside the 45-yard line. And once again, this special teams unit continues to produce and put Vineland in spectacular field position to start these offensive drives week in and week out, drive in and drive out.
Well, that was last week. Getting all the way down to the 5 on a kick return was really big. On that, he had some space in the middle and at the bottom, picked up a great block. One of those blocks that normally will be a clip, but well coached and well done, and that's something we're going to need is special teams to give a little more than last week where that one punt that would have been blocked really turned to points, and there wasn't a ton. 3 scores in the game for the opponent, and one of them we handed them.
So Vineland starting under center, lined up in the I formation. And it's a rollout here. Fake the handoff and a lob wide open to number 7, Mark Mutcherson. All the way high, stepping into the end zone on play number 1, Mark Mutcherson for the touchdown.
Oh, wide open because of that fake. It was interesting to watch because I'm watching. I'm like, why is that guard not kicking out? But sure enough, it's a boot around the backside, which gives them all kinds of time. Like we were talking pregame, gain ground on that line, and he did that and delivered a perfect strike.
11:36 remaining here in this opening quarter. Vineland already with a 6-0 lead. And that was just perfect play execution on Vineland's part. And I was talking to Coach Vizo before the game, and we were talking about how we'd like to see Vineland's offense run a little bit more under center and a little bit more I formation with the weapons that you have in that backfield. Beautiful execution on the fake handoff. The rollout was done so well, and Mutchie found himself wide open as that kick is through the uprights, off the wall, and good. So it's 7-0 Vineland, and to have Mutcherson beat his man and create that much space is just a great execution of that opening play.
And that goes all back under center with an I formation. So the linebackers and everybody are like, all right, they're going to try to power this on us. And then you run a fake, what old school, a fake blast to the right and boot around the backside. Well-designed play, and that just pulled everybody to the one side. And the hardest ball in the world to catch is the one you're standing there waiting on. And nice job by Mutcherson and then accelerating to the end zone. Couldn't happen any quicker than the first play of the game. Vineland up on top. And it's Clearview that we've had some really good games with. And it's that tradition, more not as successful as your Hamiltons or St. Joe's. I'm not saying that, but running that same offense, setting up a counter all game, and you miss one tackle and they're on the board, and you play great and all of a sudden they're on the board. So to get something up early here and try to make them have to do a little more with their offense than they want to could really open this ball game up.
So Clearview will return this. And a great stop there, and they'll set up shop at about the 20-yard line, and we'll see Coach Cliff Smith's defense. And Rich, I was talking to Coach Russo down on the field pregame. He's here tonight. He's been on the sidelines pretty much all season supporting the boys, and Coach Guzman and his staff And he was talking about the jerseys we're wearing tonight that you and I are both fans of, and they are in honor of your former booth partner and former head coach here at Vineland High School, Coach Parentazzi.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of nights together doing this, and at the end, I mean, what a trooper going through his health issues and having dialysis and coming out to call a game, and he loved calling them, and we had such a great time. It was kind of like weekends with Pop, and for me, weekends with my dad. You know, we had a great lead in every week. Love and miss Coach very much.
So the pitch out, and an easy stop there for the Fighting Clan defense, so to bring up second down here for Clearview.
Yeah, that defense, I mean, when I'm looking back at previous games, I'm like, oh, led in tackles by Afanador. Cruz led in tackles, and we've got a lot of the same names. And this is, you're home, you're even at 2-2, but for years as freshmen they were getting some time. Sophomores a lot. This senior class, we've been waiting for them to get here. And now we start to define this season. You did lose 2, but you lost them to 2 of the best teams in your division, which you're included with.
So 2nd and 9 here for Clearview, and a whistle. Lots of jumping around. That'll be a false start against Clearview.
Well, I can remember the first Clearview game in many, many years when Isaiah was on the team. And that was going to be, all right, well, Vineland, whatever we were, 2 or 3 or 4-0, they're like, well, they haven't really played good competition yet. And Clearview will be the test. And that was something like over 50 on the board at their place, and just clearly made the statement that we were legit back then.
2nd and 14 now, and Clearview hands it off and runs right into the Vineland defense. So that'll bring up 3rd and the distance of Landis Avenue.
Donnie St. Jean up on that line does a great job, and they have plenty of support. You get to see him a little bit more last week when I watched the game, and thank you for covering. I know it's not a ton of fun by yourself, but that Thursday with a back-to-school night for me, you know, and then all the issues trying to get set up. Great job by the crew, because when I watched it, I didn't think the setup was half as bad as everything we were talking about, and we talked about pregame, but outstanding job by everyone.
And it's a pass to nobody. Xavion Diaz is there on the defense.
Well, if this continues with that defense for Vineland, I think the worst job I've seen happen today would be having to be the quarterback, because he doesn't have time to hand the ball off before somebody's hitting him. Trying to throw the ball, he's got to just backpedal like it's a screen when it's not, to buy time to get rid of the football. Great job defensively, and that pressure came without sending a ton of people, just in base.
So Clearview will punt, a low punt. Punter can't corral it, and the defense, Mason Afanador in on the stop, Rayon Carter, Ben Rojas Torres, and Caden Chestnut all in there to make the tackle. And man, Rich, Mason Afanador has taken not only a leap in his play, but also as a leader in this locker room this year. It has been awesome to watch through these first 4 weeks of just seeing how, even when times have gotten tough, Mason is the one going around telling everyone, hey, brush that play off, keep your head up. And to see his growth as a player and as a person is something that I know Coach Goose is super proud of him for. And as somebody who's been watching Mason play his entire varsity career, it is super awesome to watch him develop as a person as well as a player. As Calderon hands this one off, and I believe he was down.
Stretching out for the end zone. He appears just to be a little bit short knee down around the 1. No, but it's neat that when you're the freshman stepping on the field, not quite starting, but getting some playing time through some injuries and all, that experience, I mean, the rest of your classmates that, hey, what was it like, you know? And having that little bit of experience adds to the leadership, because you start leading your other freshmen when you're there, and then everybody that comes in follows along. But to be able to grow, as we're talking about Afanador, into such a bigger role when there was other freshmen that got a little bit more time than him early, and yet to grind through and be that important to this team. Now, last week and for a little while, there's been some extra point field goal issues with not getting blocked. We've had a few punts almost get blocked, and we've had a few have to get pulled down. And special teams, we're lagging behind, and in these tight games, it matters a ton. Well, right now we had a kickoff return to midfield, and we had a blocked punt, for lack of better words, there that sets them up on the 5. Special teams on fire tonight.
And if I'm not mistaken, there was a delay of game penalty called, and that's why Vineland's at the 9-yard line. As this one's handed off to Charles Clark, he cuts up, bringing it inside the 5, stretching, and he's going to be down just shy of the pylon.
Well, Omar Davis really seals that corner, and I've seen it on the first play from scrimmage, or the kickoff, and now just how well they're able to seal that defense in there and give the running backs an edge. Has just been great technique and great blocking on that. Sometimes the bigger play, no offense to Charles, isn't the run, it's the block that sets it up, and that's when you have a team playing together.
So Charles picks up 8 and gets Vineland back to the 1-yard line. They line up in the I formation, and it's going to be a tush push into the end zone for Elijah Calderon. Taking a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles book there is Coach Hendricks, and Vineland now has a 13-0 lead.
Yeah, but for the Eagles, I didn't like that fake tush push. Like, I'm thinking more of a flip somewhere than a back coming across, but Vineland executes it perfectly, and just that quick, as you see, 8:33, Vineland up the 2 scores. And as for the actual kicking part of it, Ruger's been getting better and better, and to the point where you count on these extra points as long as there's some blocking up front.
Ball snap, spotted, kick up, and good. So with 8:33 to go here in this opening frame, your Fighting Clan have a 14-0 lead here at Historic Gittone Stadium on Thursday Night Football.
It didn't take many plays. I always tell you, Vineland's averaging 3.2 yards per passing attempt. 4.3 yards per rush. Well, right now, we're averaging about 3 points per play. Just a great start. And mentioned it briefly when we started. I'm working out at Bridgeton, so I watch a lot of their games, and I'm with all the guys on the team there. And they just said they got up early, and Clearview packed it in and kind of went through the motion. So coming into this, I'm like, I didn't even get to tell you, Vineland needs to get up early and control this. The longer they leave them in there, the more. We didn't even get to say it with the first play touchdown, and 3 plays later, we got the ball in another one. But Vineland's done just that. Get up on top, take them out of their offense, and Vineland's going to squib that one. It's a good field position at the 39, but it was Clearview, no yards on that first drive. Nothing on the run, no time on the pass.
This week I was talking to Coach Guzman on Guzman's Gridiron, the official Vineland High School football coaches show, which is available wherever you get your podcasts on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network and viewable each and every week on the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. And what it's like playing here at Gittone Stadium. Rich, you've been on the sidelines here. You've played here. I luckily got a snap on defense and on special teams as a freshman here before it shifted over to the turf. So it's one of those things that if you're a Vineland High School athlete, no matter what the sport is now, as this one's passed on the screen and Mutcherson there to make the stop, you kind of put a feather in your cap and say, yeah, I got to play my sport at one of the most historic stadiums in the country.
Yeah, and I can remember as a child coming and watch, as a middle schooler, when I started playing football at about 10, I would come watch and be a fan. And then that first opportunity to get on the field, back then it was freshman, coach never had a freshman play in JV or varsity. So a lot of us opted to play in midget football for Dave Heck because we had been together as long as we can cut enough weight, and I'll get back to that in a moment.
2nd and 12 here for Clearview. And we got a whistle there.
Strange play, running motion to the hash side. it was going to go that way, but it wasn't a pass. There was going to be no room. So anyway, sophomore year when you get to play, that first time you step on the field and there's a band playing and there's this atmosphere and you're on the field that you watched everybody. I mean, jitters, nerves, but excitement. I can remember, speaking of Coach Parentazzi, my first game in, the band's playing. Like, I'm on kickoff. I don't dance, but I was doing my thing, I guess, apparently. What are you doing? And he had to yell at me to stop jumping around and dancing around before it. But then to get older and be able to come back, play for 3 years, and then come back and coach for a decade, it's just, and then do this for 30 years, it's just been fantastic.
Clearview takes the snap here, looking to pass, fires, and it's complete. Through the hands of the intended receiver, what it looked like there, but still completed.
Yeah, good job getting rid of that as pressure was there and arms are up, but still, that gain of 10 still going to leave them short of the first down on a third approaching midfield. And then coaching and watching so many of my freshmen back then get their shot at varsity. And remember one in particular, Christian, it was crazy because freshmen, we were killing everybody. And his first drive, he's defending, starting that inside backer as a freshman. They score, and I go out, and he's crying. I'm like, bro, this happens a lot up here. Like, relax. You made your reads, did the right thing. Guadalupe was – we had his son a couple years ago playing. I get to run into Christian. And it went that way watching so many guys get their first taste or somebody – I'm trying to think. He had a player that Belfie's like, he's a tackle, leave him a tackle. And I'm like, no, he wants to play tight end, so he's my starting tackle, he's my second string tight end. You're wasting time. Long story short, Mark Thompson ends up playing tight end in college because when you're a freshman, like as a freshman, I wrestled 135. As a senior, I was over 200 pounds wrestling you grow and your body's different and you can do different things. A lot of times in baseball, somebody that hasn't grown yet doesn't have an arm for anywhere but second base if they're an infielder. And then when they grow and mature, it's like, oh, now you could play third. Maybe not agile enough for short, whatever it is.
So a false start there makes it 3rd and 10 now for Clearview. And another whistle.
A little bit of a head start, offsides on us, I believe, on this one.
That is the call. And, you just think about the history of this stadium having been around since the 20s.
And how it got here is so neat. Yeah, as we talked, I don't get into politics, but the last election cycle was rebuilding infrastructure, and getting people to work. And that's what the WPA, the program that built this stadium after the Great Depression or after the war, and also Bridgeton's, and I believe AC's, were all part of that program where the community, people were getting out to work to build things, and it stood the test of time, and it's nothing like being home. In my mind, the best stadium. I mean, half the time people have fields, not a stadium.
Yeah. 3rd and 5 here for Clearview. Looking to pass. It's fired and incomplete.
Well, he had some time there. It was a good job by their line to give him time to be able to make that throw, but got to figure, here comes the punt team now. And this part of our special teams return game has been outstanding, and not just the big, long ones, just in general. I'm not watching a punt roll 20 yards after it hits. And I always go back to Coach Belfie started out 6-0, and then we're playing Mainland. They put 2 guys back for the punt, and none of them took a step. All they did was run and fair catch, and they picked up 20 yards every drive in field position. Decent pressure. That's going to hit short and at the 25. Looking for somewhere to go.
Xavier Diaz rounding up past the 30, past the 40, up to midfield and beyond the 50-yard line. An absolutely dynamic return once again. Xavier Diaz and Saquon Anderson and Ron Temple as well, who has a punt return for a touchdown this season earlier this year. Those 3 have made this return unit lethal.
Well, just look, that one there, it hit and it rolled. Just leave it and walk away, and then we're starting at our own 14. But patience, just a little patience. Yeah, because he holds up in the middle and picks a spot, and nobody stopped blocking. Obviously, to me, it appeared that doesn't go together, but it was like a return right was set up because you watched the blocking, and he just had to get there, and he did a nice job doing that plus position for Vineland.
Calderon lines up in the shotgun, 1st and 10 for Vineland. They take the snap, looking to pass, a little screen to George Figueroa III, who turns on the burners and picks up a 1st down and then some. It's good to see George Figueroa III back out there healthy. And that's the type of dynamic running back that is in this stable there for Coach Davon Seymour to just rotate through. It is like a true stable of different caliber and different talents in that backfield, from George Figueroa III to Charles Clark to Omar Davis. And let's not forget Jose Phoebus as a fullback. You have so many different rotations that you can run out of that backfield. He's just loving life this season so far.
Well, before they snapped it, what a job by Diaz, who stalk blocks, holds his block for about 8 seconds, even though it's not one of his flashy touchdowns. That'll be on the highlight reel, that kind of blocking from a receiver.
Charles Clark on the carry, stays on his feet, but eventually taken down.
Shake and bake, shake and bake. Nice job just finding a little bit of room to pick up half the 1st down yards needed. Looks like it'll be 2nd and 5.
Jake Martell on the tackle. And I was talking to Coach Guzman, too, like the vibe of this stadium, it's right in the middle of the neighborhood. It feels like an old school English Premier League soccer stadium where those are in the neighborhood, or like a Wrigley Field or a Camden Yards where you're in the heart of the neighborhood, right in the heart of Vineland, and that's part of what makes this stadium so special.
Start the games at 6, start them at 7. One thing I'll say, we get our fans in here, but they are a late arriving crowd, almost like a LA crowd. You know, they'll be settled in by the middle of the 2nd quarter, as there's still about 40, 50 people standing in a line waiting to get in the far entrance. You know, late arriving, but filling up, and just nice to be back here. As we were talking pregame, you mentioned about how 4 on the road doesn't happen, but also 4 on the road, there's nothing to welcome in the new school year here. And now finally back home, even at 2-2. And this is a real important game, not just 2-3 or 3-2, but to get back on track. You know, going 6 of the last 8 for Guzman through the first 2 here, and then to have the 2 losses, like, it has to stop. And play needs to get better. And you're against an opponent that's going to make some mistakes, but right now it's Vineland's execution and their blocking and their desire defensively, and on both sides, is much higher than Clearview right now.
And it is one of those things, too, where it is your home opener. This is your true first impression to your home fans, your true first impression to your student body and your classmates. If you're on that field, as Calderon looking to pass, he's firing deep, and it is incomplete. Mark Mutcherson, the intended receiver.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't think this was going to happen this year, Kyle. Well, we appreciate it.
Special delivery up in the
old
booth.
days. It's like old days. How's everything going in college? Oh. Nice.
Special visit from Mama Greif up in the booth. 3rd and 10, but we have whistles. And Vineland calls a timeout with 3:03 remaining here in this 1st quarter.
Let's hear it for the fighting back shooters out there doing their thing in Cleveland. Students, don't forget about that student section over here. Let's load that place up. Service learning hours. Free giveaway this evening. Student section. Let's load it up over there. Loud and proud. Loud and proud for our team.
Thank you. All right. Got a little
3rd and 10 upcoming for Vineland.
Yes.
out of the timeout.
As we always say, a little Richie Ashburn, Whitey there, like, well, I sure do miss Greif's cooking, and we haven't had that this year. And sure enough, game one.
3rd and 10 out of the timeout. Charles Clark, the man in motion. Rolling out is Calderon. He's going to take it himself on the QB run up the field, inside the 10, 5, and into the end zone for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game is Elijah Calderon. And it might just be my fandom coming through. It might be a little recency bias, but Rich, he's showcasing a lot of that leg speed, and the way he runs reminds me a whole heck of a lot of number 1 on those Philadelphia Eagles. And Elijah Calderon showing his best Jalen Hurts impression there on the QB run.
I think the best part of that impression, and you nailed it right on the head, is like kind of the stiff leg and stiff knee running. But the speed, I didn't think he had that angle. And again, people holding their blocks, turning around, he's still on his feet, back on a block. Just outstanding blocking. But the speed from Calderon, that's the first time I've seen that acceleration. And he looked really good on that.
So extra point pending, but with
Pat pending?
2:51 according to the
You don't know anything
scoreboard.
about Professor Pat Pending, do you?
I don't.
Old cartoon Wacky Racers, Penelope Pitstop, Dick Dastardly, the one with Professor Pat Pending, because he had all these patents pending and his car would do crazy things. Made Mr. Gadget's car look like nothing.
And Vineland's going to line up to go for 2 here. Diaz, the motion man. Calderon fires, and it's complete to Rayon Carter for the 2-point conversion.
Well, it's getting late early for Clearview, and why not go for 2? Work some of these plays in. It was a few years ago playing Millville. They always went for 2. Probably about 12, 15. I say a few, but they add up so quick. They always went for 2, and they had like 20 different packages and formations, and they worked on these plays. And the extra point, which in pro football you just take for granted, even when they're back kicking from 35 now, you just take it for granted. But when you can, that's the only play where there's going to be a point or not. And if you can pick up 2 once in a while, it's kind of, you get to that extra score, or you need to score and you need the 2 points for yourself. But good to get some experience out there. I always hated when people would have like the muddle huddle where everybody's lined up on the hash, then they come to, as the nose guard. I was good. I got to stay over the ball, but everybody else, then you jog in with them. It's just annoying.
Morello will kick this one off to Clearview with 2:51 remaining in this opening quarter. It's 22-0 in favor of Vineland. That one squibbed a bit there, but picked up by Clearview, and Vineland is all over it. Jose Phoebus, Ben Rojas Torres, and quite the collection of Vineland special team defenders in there to make the stop with 2:42 to go.
Couldn't ask for a better start. Still a line getting in at that far gate.
It's a hot ticket to come see the Fighting Clan here at Gittone Stadium.
Going to take the word cough off of the box and put chew button.
Clearview lines up in shotgun here, 1st and 10. Looking to pass. He's got time. He's rolling out, being chased by Donnie St. Jean, and throws it to the Vineland sideline. Incomplete.
That's the 2nd passing attempt that he's had some time to throw on. So Clearview's line doing a better job giving him time to be able to throw that. Early it was, he didn't have a second to even look at the field.
2:34 remaining in this opening quarter.
But also Vineland not needing to push so hard there. Let them see if they can move it without having an extra person in there trying to get that rush back to that 3-3.
2nd and 10 from the 34 here for Clearview. Still opening quarter here of the home opener for your Fighting Clan. As Clearview takes the snap, looking to pass, fires, and it's incomplete. And a flag flies in from the back end.
Just a little bit early as the ball's thrown high, receiver in the air, and that little bit of a delay gets Temple there. Not a bad play whatsoever. We're talking a half a second early. He didn't come up and destroy him, just put a hit on him. But a good call as he got there just a step early.
And I think to the naked eye, it looks like Ron Temple's kind of going after the ball in that situation more so than the player. But the flag will be on Temple.
Oh, offsetting, so no harm, no foul there. And we'll get to do it again, but
2nd and 10 with 2:28 to go here in the first quarter. Ball still at the 34-yard line.
well, if they don't run it this time, it seems like they may have given up on the idea of running just after 3 carries.
Man in motion, and it is a botched handoff. Kind of did a basketball chest pass on that one. And
that's that old fantasy football killer that Aaron Rodgers used to do. Snap it to him in the jet motion. He would just tap it to them, and then I'd lose a fantasy game because it'd be a 60-yard pass. He didn't even grab the football. I'd love it if he was mine, but back then. But
2:22 remaining as the clock stops there.
But it does make it safer just for that reason. If it hits the ground, it's incomplete instead of a fumble.
3rd and 10 from the 34 for Clearview. Vineland coming with the blitz. And it's incomplete. Great pass rush there from Vineland.
And great timing. Looks like Clearview with a little bit of false start here, missed block there. Like they're not ready to alternate their cadence, so Vineland is just teeing off. Once we saw somebody a half a step early, and if there's anything, we had 2 guys a half a step early. Well, you'll take that aggressiveness over being a second late.
And Clearview will punt. They get this one away. Out of bounds. Just past the 50-yard line. Do mark it at the 50. So Vineland will take over with 2:10 remaining here in this opening quarter. And
boy, look where they've started. You know, both times right around midfield at 48, about the 48 and the 49.
And that's been the story pretty much all season, whether it's the opposing team's punter not getting off a great punt, or somebody like Xavier Diaz, Saquon Anderson, or Ron Temple returning the punt and giving you half or less than half the field to work with. It's set Vineland's offense up for success any time that has happened. And when you can work with half the field, you're poised for success. As Charles Clark ekes forward.
Charles Clark breaks 3 tackles, and he's back to the line of scrimmage. Hit early with it, but got away from a few and dives forward to get back to the line.
Under 2 minutes to go here. But that has been the success story for Vineland's offense so far this season, is being able to work with half the field and not having to drive 70, 80, 90 yards down the field every single drive. Most of their drives this season have started from either their own 45 or better, which has been a huge benefit for somebody like Elijah Calderon, who's starting for the first time at the varsity level as a freshman. 2nd and 10, man in motion is Xavier Diaz. It's handed off to Diaz on the reverse. He evades tackling and brings it up, spin move, up past the 40, and eventually thrown out of bounds. Still stayed on his feet, though.
Charles Clark with the block of the night, and it wasn't like he leveled somebody. He was just so like a dog on a bone, just so aggressive and driving, almost like he's running with the football, and just totally took the defender from the hash mark out of bounds like a rabid dog. Outstanding job, especially when you see receivers making those blocks and running backs when you don't have it making those blocks. Everybody working together tonight, and that's really helping Vineland's offense get these extra yards.
He must have heard you earlier when you said the more important part was the block down there
Yeah.
by Omar. He said, let me get one of these blocks so Rich can talk about me next. 1st and 10 from the 39. Calderon looking to pass. He's firing deep, and it is complete.
Touchdown.
Once again, Mark Mutcherson. And the ball is spotted at the 1-yard line.
I don't know if I like that because he was on top of the defender and rolled into the end zone.
Mutcherson has been able to find his spots on that side of the field for Calderon to have enough time to pass and create the opportunity for him to go and make the completion there. That's 2 dynamic passes from Elijah Calderon to Mark Mutcherson in this first quarter alone. One led to a touchdown and one was just shy of another. That's been the sweet spot so far tonight for the passing game.
And that speed makes it so the defender is just doing everything they can to stay with Mutcherson and can't try to find where the football is. And Mutcherson dekes him and then makes the catch without him even knowing it's coming. Here's the play.
And it's still down at the 1. That was Omar Davis on the carry.
Omar Davis. Taking effect to the second down goal. One for that one.
It's either same thing. Oh, okay. It's either going to be the same play or a quarterback run.
The buzzer sounds for the end of the first quarter. A great opening first quarter here for the home opener at Gittone Stadium for your Fighting Clan. We'll take a quick break, but your hometown team leading 22-0. We'll be back for second quarter action right after this. Everybody's second quarter about to get underway here as Vineland's at the 1-yard line. They're going to push again. We await the signal, and it is a touchdown. The 3rd rushing touchdown for Elijah Calderon here in his home debut as your varsity starting quarterback. 2 of them via the nod to the Eagles on the push, and 1 on a dynamic 35-plus yard run that got him into the end zone. Calderon's been spectacular so far tonight.
Well, if our Vineland fans that are still filtering in, it's getting packed here, and probably the best student section I've seen for us at a home game, and the atmosphere is great, but all year long we started slow, and I guess people thought, man, well, you know what, we'll be there in time, and you missed a lot early.
As Vineland lines up to go for 2, Mutcherson, the man in motion. Calderon pass, and it's incomplete. A little bit of miscommunication there off the hand of Saquon Anderson.
Well, still, good play, good ball.
28-0 your score. Yeah, you talk about the student section. I remember, being in high school, and I was a part of that initial, resurgence of the crazies, as we called ourselves, down in that student section. And to have that as a fellow classmate out there on the field, to have your fellow classmates supporting you in the stands means the world, no matter what sport it is. And we would go out to every single game and make sure that we were supporting our friends and fellow classmates and everything. So to see the student section as packed as it is tonight brings back memories for me being out there, back in 2011 and 2012, and just enjoying a great night of football.
And you see all the neon. That was the theme tonight. Yeah, and that's sometimes we go other places and we see student sections that have been organized, and so having this kind of student section for the first home game, you bet you it doubles for the next one.
Especially after a performance so far. Morello, a short squib in the air. Vineland all over it. It's Phoebus, Noah Cruz, Mark Mutcherson all in there to make the stop. So with 11:44 to go here until halftime, it's 28-0 Vineland.
16 seconds into the second quarter, and we already have 28 up on the board. I know if I'm walking in, I'm like, did it start at 6? I know it said 7. It's weird. Whenever somebody comes off late, I start counting real quick. That's fine.
And we have a whistle.
It's like a timeout, Clearview.
If you did miss any of the action so far, you're just walking into the stadium now. You can always watch the replay on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@VLDSchoolsTV. That is where every single broadcast throughout the 2024-2025 school year and beyond exists, whether it's a sporting event, board meeting, school event, or anything in between. And be sure to hit that bell icon on the channel screen as well, so you know whenever new broadcasts go live. That's youtube.com/@VLDSchoolsTV.
And Kyle, with all the broadcasting that you do throughout the year, don't be afraid to check him out, calling something else. Just go on that VPS broadcasting, and you can pull up old games from not just last week, but last year and 3 years before that, 4 years before that. And if you're just watching for the first time, you can also catch up. We do release one per week, kind of just like good shows like Bad Monkey, I love, and I got to wait till Wednesday. But you can catch up quickly and be ready for us. But in a game, Vineland really needs to identify themselves and their offense. They've done just that. The defense has been outstanding, and now we're just a couple more possessions away from breaking the will of the opponent.
First and 10 here for Clearview as they drop back to pass, fires, and it's off the hands, and we have a flag fly in towards the bottom of your screen.
A lot of traffic in that pattern down there.
And it is against Vineland.
You ever notice, I'm sure there was a penalty, but you ever notice, if we score a couple times and we get to the run, you ever notice how many penalties get called? And not even just to take the touchdown off the board one. For years broadcasting, we've had some rough years, about a decade of one-win years.
Yeah.
And I would have to sell down 30-0 at half. Let's hope we can make some changes. Well, the next half with the running clock, and the officials not letting them score anymore. Vineland did much better in that second half, 14-0. They cut it in half, and I have to spin something there. But it tends to be a lot of flags in games like this as later it goes.
Clearview looking to pass, and it's over the head of the intended receiver. Incomplete. You talk about tonight, stadium being packed on a Thursday night, no less. Full-fledged force of our cheerleaders and our marching band as well, doing a fantastic job to start their season. And that is truly the pyramid of, your football nights, whether it's Thursday, Saturday, Friday. Having the trio all out in full force always makes the experience that much better. Big kudos to one of my good friends, Justin Feliciano, our band director.
And This will be the first time we've seen the halftime show by the band this year. I saw props already.
Clearview taking a QB run there, and tackled by Mark Mutcherson.
Well, the quarterback had room to run for the first down and then some, if not for the speed of Mutcherson as he closes it and makes it a 2-yard gain. And I'm like, we don't have anything out there. He's going to get the first down, but what speed. Well, that official was facing us. I thought there's another call that we missed. So 3rd and long, and it's been pass. I don't expect to see a run here. See if Vineland wants to sit and cover. Although they do bring in a different back that's thicker than a Snickers. Let's see what we're going to do here. Well, they sent him home. Go home. Get off the field.
High snap, looking to pass. It's complete. See where they mark him.
Well, Noah Cruz on that. If he just tackles him, it's a first down for sure. But stopping him from going forward and getting some help.
And they give him the forward progress for the first down, so.
Still a great finish on that play, knowing the down and distance and what's up. So the first down of the game for Clearview. Yeah, a couple years ago, one of these one-score games with Clearview, and we dominated, and they hit a counter that went for a score, and we end up losing. That was a tough one. That at the end of the year, if you get that one back, or the 7-6 Oakcrest game.
QB scrambling already, and he goes down. Mutcherson makes that first contact.
That's where you got to be friends with the statistician. It was our managers. Yeah. So I'm like, you got me on an assist on that second one, didn't you? You got me on that sack.
Second down. 13 yards to go for the goal.
2nd and 13.
It's been a rough season for Clearview. Not getting any better. But it doesn't take long to turn it around. My job at Bridgeton, from 1 win or no wins last year to 4-0 already. Yeah, and it's just momentum. When you have it, people believe. Vineland looking to establish itself as a contender.
Clearview looking to pass, but there's a flag at the top of your screen.
Two opportunities for a pick six there on that play. It's great coverage as both Vineland defenders able to get to the ball before the receiver. Yeah, Clearview's they're not even trying to run the ball anymore. They're getting better protection in the passing game, but there's not enough on. I mean, that's a long throw. That's about a 45-yard throw from one hash outside the other near the sideline, and with the speed of the Vineland defensive backs, that ball's in the air just a little too long and dangerous pass. So, I mean, they got to keep it between the tackle box pretty much if they're doing anything up the field.
Third and 13 from the 39 here for Clearview. 9:26 to go until halftime. Looking to pass, fires, and it's incomplete. Nobody even close. Mason Afanador was the closest potential receiver there, but that would have been an interception.
Well, he split the distance between the two receivers like perfectly. But again, nowhere to step up, nowhere to see. Feeling pressure early. So 4th down for the Pioneers. 4th and about 13. Saquon Anderson standing back there in case we're going to have a punt. And let's see what Clearview decides to do with 9:20 on the clock.
They're going to keep the offense out there. Looking to pass. Fires. And a flag's going to get thrown there for pass interference.
Flag on the flag.
Yeah, good play, well thrown ball. When you're in coverage, you're running step for step, and the ball's a little short as they fight back through you. Just like hitting the lane in basketball, drawing a foul, you know. So Clearview converts it.
You know, we were talking earlier too, Rich, about just playing here and the energy that Gittone Stadium brings. And you just think about all of the unbelievable athletes who have stepped foot on this field, both for Vineland and opponents that have come in that have gone on to do amazing things. As Clearview sets up 1st and 10 here, looking to pass on the screen. And Mutcherson is there all over it. Great job by Mark Mutcherson to track that down.
He's just too fast.
He's unreal.
Fast. Against this opponent out there, he's too fast for the quarterback. He's too fast for the wide out. It's almost like you play off a little bit, so they will throw it that way so you can make a play. You bait them. I mean, the closing speed is just fantastic.
You know, we've had our fair share of elite athletes be able to play on this field, from the Jameel Dembys, the Isaiah Pacheco's, Tyrene Powell. And then obviously you have your opponents that have come in. As Clearview looking to pass. Fires. And it is out of bounds. Incomplete. A great throw and right idea there for Clearview as they tried to get on the board, but to no avail.
Well, it's going to be tough to make a living on that play, though, because you may get a few, but you're going to give up some interceptions on that. But, I mean, what do you do if you got to get back in it and you've abandoned the run? It's not even like you can roll him out either. Most often we're boxed in nice. See if Donnie St. Jean, the hand on the ground on the bottom of that line, can get a little push here.
3rd and 7 here, and we got a whistle for a timeout by Clearview.
Timeout, Clearview.
Yeah, it's like the first home game is kind of like the opener to the school year. Well, the best Clearview's done with the ball on this drive, but it's 3rd and long, 4 down territory. You keep them out here and add one, and then that's pretty much it. Then you can pin your ears back and just go after the quarterback for a little while. Not only is the student section larger than normal and growing, it's also louder than normal. Cheerleaders just went down and edged them on a little bit. And
Rowdy getting in the mix as well.
that's the other thing. Rowdy doesn't miss. Sometimes I can out appear Rowdy at these games, but I'm at -1. Rowdy was hanging out the midget league field with us on the second game of the year.
Clearview passes this one, and not sure how there wasn't a
offensive
pass interference flag there, as receiver there from Clearview kind of just shoved a Vineland defender to the ground. I believe it was number 22 for the Fighting Clan, Aiden Barriento.
Yeah, and when you're defending somebody, you're not expecting them to engage you and hit you. It's easy to go to the ground when you're trying to get to them, and they're like, forget. Oh, long field goal attempt, 42-yard field goal attempt. Win a little bit from the bottom to the top of the screen.
Low snap, and it's blocked. A great job by the Vineland special teams unit to block that kick. And with 8:08 remaining until halftime, as Mason Afanador and Saquon Anderson celebrate that one, Vineland maintains its 28-0 lead and will take over on offense.
But Clearview has taken over time of possession. You know, we've had the ball for about 2 minutes and put up 28 points. It's happened quick, so not the time to go get something to drink. It's the time to focus in and see which way this offense wants to attack on this one.
And I think this is a good drive for Vineland where they'll set up shop at the 26-yard line. They haven't had opportunities like this where you have to drive down the field like we were mentioning earlier, 70-plus yards. Now they'll be able to kind of test some things out and see what they can do in these situations as Calderon hands this one off to Ronnie Temple. A nice little receiver run there, but a flag comes in late. And I think they're going to get someone on a hold.
It's either Jake Martell or Mason Jones for Clearview. Really made an outstanding read and a great solo tackle. But the penalty on the Fighting Clan.
So they'll replay first down.
I remember for years calling games with Coach Parentazzi, who we led in with, and now I'm in that role where I'm like, I can't read these yellow numbers on the white shirt, and I don't know if it's me
or
it's my age now.
I can't do it either. It is
because I'm like, what?
Brutal.
Was that 15 or 16? The kid made a heck of a play. And
so 1st and 20 from the 18. And a flag for a false start on Vineland.
Well, heading the wrong way now.
I said this was supposed to be a good opportunity, boys. You got to go forward.
But you can't have an 86-yard touchdown pass or run without starting where they are right now. Good news is we're back to first down.
1st and 25 from a 13-yard line.
I don't know if you just don't try to outrun them to the top of the screen here.
You have the speed to do it. You got Trips Punch at the top of your screen. Charles Clark, the man in motion. Calderon, he's going to throw deep downfield and just out of the reach of Rayon Carter in double coverage.
Oh, beautiful pass, beautiful pattern, and 3 inches away from being right over the shoulder. We talk a little bit about getting quarterbacks comfortable, and you see it every weekend in the NFL. Well, they got to get him comfortable. He's standing much taller in the pocket right now. He's poised, able to deliver the football. Line doing a nice job, giving him some time. He's not running away from somebody right away. Also nice to be here where we're up high and can see good. We're not looking through trainers' tents. Last week watching when I got home, it was like, when they get down there, that silly tent.
Calderon on the screen to Ronnie Temple. He corrals it, makes some moves, stays on his feet, and picks up a couple there. Yeah, it's nice to have the bird's eye view again and not be blocked, like you said, by the trainers' tents, not by the sideline and the sun in our eyes. It's good to be back home.
Ain't it good to be back home again?
We're not up in Jack Sparrow's perch.
Not sitting on the 25-yard line on a sideline reporter trying to call a game. We've overcome a lot, and that's due to the staff. I mean, we kind of walk in and walk out. That's the one thing I like better than radio. Radio, I'm setting up antennas back in the day and then cell phone lines later in it. Didn't have to run 300 feet of cable like last week.
A rollout here for Calderon, and unable to bring it in is Ron Temple.
Well, Temple high pointed it. Nice job, but defensively coming in to make a hit. I'm going to go with 16, Mason Jones. It's his second play on this drive.
So Brett Brosh in to punt here for Vineland. It's been Mark Mutcherson handling the punting duties pretty much all season. We have a timeout by Vineland.
Well, first punt of the day, first stop by Clearview. They'll get it back in good field position, but they had a few plays, but it really wasn't the offense moving the ball as much as penalties moving the ball for them. So what do you think of the first few weeks of Tom Brady doing color?
First week, I know it was rough for him, and I tell everybody, hey, everybo's first go at something new is always going to be a struggle. And from what I heard, too, Tom Brady is not allowed to partake in the pre-game meetings during the week with the players and coaches due to him having minority ownership of the Las Vegas Raiders. They view it as a conflict of interest to be meeting with teams and players. So he's kind of behind the eight ball going into every single week so far. So he's kind of just learning as he's up in the booth. And I think he got better last week, and we'll see him on the Eagles broadcast this week against the Buccaneers. Brosh gets that one away. Will be returned. A solid return there. Flag flies in, I think.
Well, when I first started one day 30-some years ago, it's like, hey, we're short a guy. Can you come on? I'm like, yeah. And you chase your breath when you get started in this. That you lose your breath and you have more to say. With Coach Parentazzi, did not like reading ads. So it was a live read all the time. And as play-by-play, when you have something like that, you usually get your drink, take a breath, got 3 minutes. And it used to be a live read, so I'm like, and they were long ones. The marching band is selling cheesecakes. That right? You can get cherry cheese, and it's just like you breathe, and then you chase it, and you can't talk. I just thought, how naturally you kick back and forth. It's almost like they were in different places.
First and 10 from the 36 here for Clearview on the screen pass.
Put that on your tape also. Noah Cruz sheds the blocker, knocks him to the ground, holds his ground, and makes the stop.
Fanador and Barriento got in the mix as well.
Ball spotted at 37.
Pick up a 2 on that wide receiver screen. Game clock gets set to tick under 5 minutes until halftime.
Yeah, we need a little more before halftime here. Everybody's in and situated. Let's give them something to cheer about. But slowly, Clearview's becoming more competitive in these last 5 minutes, able to do a little something on the return, do a little something with the help of penalties, but they're in plus territory here.
Second straight drive, they've had that, as well as high snap over the head of the quarterback. Vineland's defense coming in hot. And that is number 54, Aiden Zinkgraf.
Ball was spotted at the 45.
That'll kill your rushing yards, huh?
Zinkgraf is wildly talented freshman on this Vineland High School football team this year that it really stood out to me. I talked to Coach Guzman about it this week on the podcast, and I said, that really stuck with me. After the game against Pennsauken, he's going up to the coaching staff and asking the coaches immediately, after a loss like that, what can I do to get better? What can I do? And to have that quick memory of like, okay, the game is over, how can I improve? that is something special that you see. And I think number 54 for the Fighting Clan is going to turn into one heck of a ball player.
Well, freshman, 6'2", 200. His first game, it's like, who is that? We had the jersey thing. I'm like, and just really can stand up at the hardest position on this defense.
So 3rd and 29 here as the pass falls incomplete. And Zinkrap's also playing on that offensive line, too. He's playing both ways as a freshman on this varsity squad.
And that 54 just fits him so
Yes.
nice. I don't know how to describe it. I'm like, cool. It just fits him. You know, you throw a 66 on a short, round guy, 66, you're in the middle, but 54, you're both big, tall. Fits perfectly. One goes on the little fast guy.
As Clearview gets this punt away. And Saquon Anderson will pick it up and try to make
Come on, get all the way up.
a solid return
almost.
here. Flag down.
Number 5 on the return, Saquon Anderson.
And that line's done a great job tonight. And they're kind of starting to settle in up front on the line for Vineland, as we mentioned, Zincraft. Right now, Moyner, Bono, Campos. And Davis. Well, Davis looks better. Last one that I was at, limping around a little bit, really couldn't plant his foot defensively or really drive that much offensively, but he's nice to see him back full strength after being out the first couple.
This one will get handed off to Charles Clark. He cuts upfield, brings it up past the 30, spin move down at the 35-yard line is number 6, Charles Clark.
Oh, great blocking and outstanding vision and run, but I don't know that I've seen Vineland block this well, holding blocks. And the backs getting to where they need to get to use them, even if it's a pick or a screen, if they're on the wrong side. And Clark certainly does that well with his ability to move laterally at a fast speed. A lot of times that spin move jumping in there to get him to the right lane.
1st and 10 from the 35. Temple, the man in motion. It's handed off to Temple on the wide receiver handoff. Temple brings it up past the 45, up past midfield, down at the Clearview 45. We'll see where they mark it.
Well, Temple did just that with that lead block. He goes out wide, then dips his shoulder in to set up the block, and then takes advantage cutting back into the middle. I mean, everybody working together very well.
Ball spotted at about the 44 of Clearview.
Saw a highlight from a high school game where a guy just stayed between the hashes, and the one guy's trying to turn and get an angle, and he jumps to the other side. And he never got turned around the whole way, just extended it.
Calderon gets him on the hard count.
Ow.
But they're going to call false start on Vineland?
Seems like they're calling 28-0 Vineland instead. Defense all across there. Didn't see anything happen on Vineland's side except right tackle moved after the guy was right across the line in front of him. Kind of one of them like, oh, you jumped off sides. All right. And you know why that happens. But the other thing is that way your coaches can yell and scream at you, even though you really didn't jump. But, the game was getting out of hand and the officials were really tight on you. Vineland quick to the line.
Calderon rolls out, looking to pass. He's being chased. He fires. and completes it to the far sideline to number 1, Xavion Diaz.
Great job on that edge, coming across and just keeping your foot down inbounds.
And they'll get those penalty yards right back and then some. Is about 90 seconds to go here in this opening half with a 28-0 lead for your Fighting Clan here in their home opener in 2024.
And as you mentioned, the start of this being back on your own side, dealing with a 1st and 25, and then you've matriculated the ball up the field. Trips now to the bottom.
Calderon fires and finds Diaz, and it's in and out of his hands, incomplete. He knows he should have had that one. He's going to have a nice look at that on film on Monday.
Well, Calderon really much quicker in the pocket, under a little bit of pressure, comes out and pulls away from it, delivers that ball, but Diaz had 2 things to worry about, the sideline and the end zone, as it was almost like a coughing corner, and just a lot to try to figure out as he turns his body. But the clock is stopped.
1:21.
81 seconds. We'll it's like military time. We'll just do the seconds. I'm going to do 12 times 60 in a second. Get you started for the next quarter.
Man in motion is Rayon Carter. Calderon corrals the snap. He fires, completes it to Carter. Nice turn up field. Stays on his feet. And down just shy of the 15 is Rayon Carter.
Well, those receivers, it's almost like watching college or the pro set. They don't catch a ball flat-footed and then turn and run. You know, as he's dead to rights, it's take a step back for it, cut to the inside, like just outstanding. You know, a lot of times you throw the ball and somebody stand there, they catch it, and then it's about turning around and starting to run. But Devonta Smith kind of catch in that movement right away.
So under a minute to go now. Diaz, the man in motion. Calderon fires, completes it to Saquon Anderson for the touchdown.
And just as we're talking about coming back, getting it, and as you're catching it, being moving, and that you're covered up, and then boom.
I believe that's Saquon's first touchdown of the season. He's one of the upperclassmen on this team that just works so hard day in and day out, has been such a dynamic player for this team for years now, and good to see him get rewarded on that drive with a touchdown here at home.
And just, especially defensively, just how you can leave him alone and know his job's getting done.
So finally we'll go for the extra point here. Ball spotted, kick is up, and it's good. So with 27.9 seconds to go, your Fighting Clan have a 35-0 lead here in the second quarter.
You know what that 35 means?
Start your engines.
So in high school, with that 35, you get what we call a running clock. It'll stop after touchdowns, and once in a while on out of bounds for a second to set up the chains, but all Vineland, all the time. They're going to end up undefeated at home this year.
Hey, we'll take that. Home field advantage means something.
Plus the end of the season winning streak at home. I'll lead with that next week. Hey, can we get a Friday game once in a while? What are we doing next week? I believe it's a Friday.
I believe it's Friday, allegedly. Allegedly.
Then I was like, well, didn't I hear it's going to be a lot of rain? Maybe that's why we're tonight. And I'm like, no, that's not the case. So back to the 19. And just too much speed for Vineland. The ball's loose.
It's still loose.
Oh, boy.
rustling and tussling.
It's like a greased pig they're trying to catch there. Vineland comes out with the football as a Fanador has it in his hand. And Vineland's got, I hate that when it's all done and the guy comes out with the football and they don't give it to him. Or other times he's out with the ball and they're still digging in the pile. Playing nose and offensive guard, you're on the bottom of there quite a lot, and it doesn't usually stay where it starts. And as Coach Parentazzi would say, I didn't have the most respect for the rules, and football was a little different. So there's a finger or a thumb to get moved to make sure you come up with the football, as that was a vicious pile-up. So 11.1 seconds.
See what Vineland decides to do here.
And they got one shot at it. Be rude to kick a field goal, but in a tight game, that's what they would be doing.
Calderon rolling out. He fires. And it's complete for the touchdown to Rayon Carter. And we're going to get a flag for the celebration.
And we talked about, I just mentioned how the game's different. And that's also, when I was in school, there wasn't a lot of celebration on the field. It's kind of just run off. But then as I started coaching, in the NFL and in college, there's celebrations all the time. And it's hard for players to watch, their favorite player. I don't like idol hero, but your favorite player. And then you do it, and you got to act like you've been there before, but you're not the guy that is 30 years old that has 80 touchdowns in a career.
Rayon Carter with the touchdown there.
I think Clearview's coaching staff has to be, we cannot run laterally. You can't outrun Vineland's defense tonight. And the more they go laterally, the more that fumble just turns into points. When if you're up the field, you're tackled, you have other people around you to recover the ball as compared to going laterally.
So they call Vineland for unsportsmanlike conduct on the celebration. It's the first unsportsmanlike conduct call of the game. They'll go for the extra point here.
There's been pressure on these. And that one's blocked.
Extra point is taken as blocked.
So Vineland will go into halftime with a 41-0 lead here at Historic Gittone Stadium. We'll be back to break down this first half and get you set for second half action here on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Varsity Football right here on VPS.
Our band staff includes our director, Mr. Justin Feliciano. Our brass wind instructor, Mr. Eric Sikorsky. The brass wind instructor, Ms. Julia Galdi. Our drumline frontline ensemble instructor, Mr. Tyler Steinbron. And our color guard instructor, Ms. Mallory Cagnon. Band officers include drum major, Angelina M. Band captain, Kiana M. Band lieutenant, Nicholas F. Band sergeant, Jasmine J. And guard captain, Lacey V. The Vineland High School Marching Clan will be introducing to you their field show, 2425, Grimm. Once upon a time, in the Hall of Mountain King, a band spent a night on Bald Mountain where they shared stories of hope and fantasy. They divided beautifully into the new world, but something changed. This wonderful world took a turn for the worse. Continuing up the mountain, the band entered the hut of Fowl's Legs. All of a sudden, the hut shook and screamed, Baba Yaga. The hut grew legs and ran up to the top of the mountain, keeping the band trapped forever. For more twisted stories like this, one, stay tuned to the VHS Marching Band's field show, Grimm.
Yes, they are 12 huntsmen.
You are mistaken. They are 12 girls. princess's 15th year, she shall prick herself with a spindle and fall over dead.
It shall not be her death. The princess will only fall into a 100-year deep sleep.
Grandmother, what big ears you have.
All the better to hear you with.
Oh, Grandmother, what big eyes you have.
All the better to see you with.
Oh, Grandmother, what big hands you have.
All the better to grab you with.
Oh, Grandmother, what a horribly big mouth you have.
All the better to eat you with.
Let's hear it for the Vineland High School marching clan.
And welcome back, everybody, to Historic Gittone Stadium. It's Thursday Night Football on VPS. Kyle Bennett, Rich Scarpa up here in the booth with you as your Fighting Clan send this one off to Clearview to kick off the second half. And, Rich, what a performance in the first half as the ball comes loose.
And we got it.
And that is Mason Afanador coming up with the fumble recovery. So Vineland will start both halves with the football. What a fantastic performance in that first half. 41-0 is your score. And Vineland's just been able to move the ball at will.
And you say 41-0. Of course, the offense doing fantastic. And saying, oh, the defense kept them out of the end zone is one thing, but they kept them, I'm sure it's negative yards. They had one drive, but it kind of ended with a negative 25. On that kickoff, it was actually a great kick, but it didn't go that deep. Would have been inside the 5, but that celebration penalty was enforced on the kickoff. So a nice job kicking it to start, well, even though we got the fumble, to keep them back on that end. Good kickoff.
So Vineland will start inside the 50-yard line yet again, as it is a new quarterback in there for Vineland. It's Antoine Witt on the QB keeper. Antoine Witt, the backup quarterback for Vineland. Going to play this second half, it would seem to be, as he starts things off. He's a junior for this Fighting Clan squad. We've seen him in games a couple times this year, whether it be game kind of out of hand or Vineland up by a couple scores. We saw him at the end of that ACIT game. He played a little bit against Eastern as well.
And a great idea. You know, Calderon has a 3 rushing through a couple, and he has been banged up this year. You know, so not only do you get him out and a little rest and a little time off, but you also get your backup some reps in game time.
Witt hands this one off to Charles Clark, but the defense for Clearview all in that one, and there is a flag as there's a scuffle, and this is not good. Number 64 from Clearview being held back by some of his teammates.
Durkins. That's the most fight we've seen from Clearview.
Vineland does have to be careful, though. Earlier this season, there was an altercation during a game that kind of gave them strike one, if you will.
And the physicality and the scrum and the push and all, that's all fine. But when the whistle blows, you need to stop it. Then you come back harder than that the next play. But just after the whistle is frustration.
Angel Monier kind of tossed his helmet and is taking his gloves off right now.
See, at my job at school, my approach would be, hey, buddy, bring zero energy to diffuse all that energy. Well, if the clock was running after that stop, we'd be through the third. This is taking quite a while.
Coaches are meeting at the 30-yard line here.
See what happens when these coaches meet, like on the sideline, both teams are a little angry with each other, and for them to see their head coaches go out, handshake, embrace, it kind of puts a little water on the fire. Because you've got this game salted away. The last thing you need is somebody out for the next one or to get tagged as a discipline problem. And none of that's happened. We don't even know what the fouls are. They could be all on them, but still. Good job by both coaches that no one comes off the sideline, and that scrum went on for a little while. But sadly, I don't remember a ton of plays in high school, but I remember, the one fight that, and that's what a young brain does. Like you stand up for yourself. We were talking at work that, like, respect is a commodity that's valued at this age a real lot. And it's a currency that's more important than a lot of other things, especially at my school where I'm at. And you have to factor that in. If you think you're being disrespected, the response isn't the same as it is from a 30-year-old.
And Rich, next week we'll be back here against another familiar opponent, and that is the Atlantic City Vikings coming into town. They were here last year during the pseudo playoffs and finally got a big-time win against them after they were eliminated from the state playoffs. They came in here as Vineland's bracket kind of dissolved after the first game and played a very competitive game against Atlantic City. It's an old-school Cape Atlantic League matchup, so good to see AC coming in here.
And they're playing well, too. That'll be another big test, and to come off a performance like this to get ready for it and certainly need everybody available. We talk about there's a few teams on the schedule that are markedly better than the average that we play, and that's not even counting the best team in the state, Millville. But we got that Thanksgiving. We can think about that then. But Atlantic City, has their ups and downs, and that's going to be an intense physical game.
This one is handed off. Stays on his feet, does Ben Rojas Torres. I don't know the exact turnout of that entire scrum there and what happened. I did see the referee kind of signal an out. I'm not sure who it was that was tossed, but.
Don't know who, but it was a Clearview player. And that's just frustration. It's been that kind of year for Clearview, and you've got some guys trying to play with some pride, and it just went a little bit too far.
So Antoine Witt lines up in shotgun, moves his man in motion, keeps it, and picks up a couple there on the QB keeper up the middle.
Ball spot 7. Second and goal.
Ball's at the 7-yard line, so that'll bring up second and goal.
Vineland with a lot of changes in and out. Getting some players some time here. Says, happy as we are to be home finally in Game 5. I think Clearview's kind of happy to be on the road.
Mason Afanador and Xavier Diaz to the top of your screen. Mark Mutcherson and Ron Temple to the bottom. And it is the receiver handoff. And Xavier Diaz, Agent Uno, takes it into the end zone for the touchdown. As they hit the just give me my money celebration.
Pay me what you owe me. Noah Cruz with a pancake block on that one. Just destroyed the defender. Usually don't get those pancake blocks 8 yards upfield.
Diaz so talented, so quick and shifty that you get the ball in his hands, he's going to make a play. Whether it's picking up, 5 yards when it should have been 2 or on a receiver handoff like that and getting into the end zone. He is so dynamic and so fun to watch.
And so many players with similar assets. And yet, nobody's greedy.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking during the break. I was a selfish athlete at whatever I did, and I'd be complaining, I want the ball, or I want in, don't take me out. But unselfish football play by everybody on the Vineland side.
So Vineland going for the PAT. Ball spotted, kick is blocked. So 5:56 and counting. It's 47-0 Fighting Clan here at Gittone Stadium. And Rich, it's either last year or the year before that we had the gigantic win against Bridgeton, and feels very similar to that in a sense of this is the home opener. Make a great first impression for your student body, for your fan base, for parents that have finally been able to make it out now that we're not on the road. You have something to come out and watch every single week now, knowing that this Fighting Clan team, win, lose, or draw, they're going to give you a competitive game and showcase their talents. This is a product that every single week this stadium should be filled the way that it is now, if not even more, and it'd be one of the hottest tickets in Vineland.
Yeah, and aside, we led with the atmosphere here and everything else, but the atmosphere, the fans, it's an event. And that was the idea when you were in high school, when we switched from that grass field to this turf, and just the availability to play in bad weather, the availability to play multiple sports on here without damaging anything, and the lights. I was here for the lights getting installed.
Clearview will set up shop just shy of the 30.
So I wonder how Coach Guzman, I didn't get to, how you deal with the Thursday game. Do you have an extra off day on Friday? Do you move films to Friday so JV can watch films? And then on Monday, just a varsity workout? So, I always liked in wrestling, usually wrestled Wednesdays, Saturdays, and some Mondays. But if I can get a Tuesday, Thursday match where I'm the only action in the Cape, it's kind of like a Thursday night football game like the Cowboys and Giants tonight. Like, you get more eyes on you. And back then with reporters, you knew you'd have a reporter there covering it.
Which hopefully the way that Vineland's been playing so far this year, we start to get some of our old reporter friends back here at Gittone Stadium.
And heavy pressure and brought down, sacked.
It's Donnie St. Jean, last week's MVP of the game.
Yeah, I remember Donnie when he started to play an awful lot last year. And, you look up size and height, but that's a football player, And from what Coach Guzman has shared about the transition in him, not just physically, and the hard work in the weight room, the hard work in the off season.
And he's just so smart, not only on the field but in the classroom, has become such a leader in the locker room this year in particular, and he was, assuming that type of role last year as well. As Clearview looking to pass here, they fire it, and it's incomplete. But Donnie is just such a valuable asset to this team that you can't even measure the value that he brings to the locker room for Vineland. And he's the epitome of what you want from a student athlete. And Coach has talked about to me both on the pod and off the pod, like, if you got a team full of Donnie St. Jeans, you have a winning culture on your hands.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like as a coach, when you're teaching, you see a kid in the hall and you're like, oh, he'd be a good tackle. Oh, this one be a good safety. This one be a good center. And you pigeonhole based on physical attributes. And I think Donnie may have been the one to try to break the size queen mentality that we had on offensive line. Bigger is better. When now we have a freshman starting on the line that's 200 pounds, that is a plus player there. And I think that helps.
Clearview fires the pass. It's complete. And Mark Mutcherson with the takedown.
We are just way faster getting to the football.
On Gavin Seaver.
Some of these plays are executed well and should go for a heck of a lot. But how about the open field tackling and the support?
It's so, and Coach Smith has had fantastic defenses every year that he's been at the helm for Vineland. But seeing the leap that this defensive unit that is littered with upperclassmen has taken from last year with Coach Smith returning after his year off to this year has been spectacular.
And you don't have 6 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 D-backs. We'll wait for after this. I'll finish that.
Saquon Anderson recovers the punt there, brings it up past the 40, down to the 30, and there's a flag.
So the point being, a lot of times coaches run a certain offense. Other times coaches run an offense based on their personnel. And for Coach Cliff Smith to really have too many of one thing, not enough of the other, and to put a scheme together to fit the attributes that are out on the field. That part of it has just been outstanding.
And I think a big part about this team where they've stayed together through thick and thin, and it's great to get this rebound type of game here as we see what the call is on the field.
And not just thick and thin this season or last. How about last year you don't have a head coach until late August, and you're behind. And that's part of the reason we had the start we did and then finished up, I think it was going 5-1 at the end.
And 4-game winning streak in there.
But you started rough.
Hypothetical playoff games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you started rough because you got the late. So they've been through a little bit of everything. And it wasn't like, there was some discussion about it, and players were supporting Coach Guzman, and it all got figured out, and everything's fantastic, but they've been through a lot.
This one's handed off to George Figueroa III, brings it up past the 40, down to the 30. And that's going to do it for this third quarter with your Fighting Clan leading 47-0 here at Gittone Stadium. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back for the fourth quarter as Vineland looks to capture their third win of 2024. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Thursday Night Football on VPS. And welcome back, everybody. Fourth quarter underway. Here's George Figueroa III. Carries the rock inside the 10, the 5. Stutter steps all the way down.
Oh, poor George.
To about the 1.5-yard line.
Oh, what a brilliant run, and poor George just a half a yard short.
One of these.
Another pancake block. So when we were talking about that group and fitting them into a defense, well, you see what happens is you get blocking that we have pancakes by receivers on people, like their speed, agility. Like it just is a mismatch for somebody coming up trying to make a tackle to have Noah or whoever, Saquon, just at full speed and more agile than yourself.
They call it ticky-tack hold on that run there, so that'll push Vineland back.
Well, I'm not so mad George didn't get in there because that would have been worse.
George, one of the new crop of freshmen on this roster this year, along with Elijah Calderon, Aiden Zincraft, and a bunch more, but he's contributing in a big way. It's good to see him back healthy. He got banged up in that opening game, but he is back and speedy as ever. That one is incomplete. Mark Mutcherson and Ron Temple, who is slow to get up right now, were in the area as Ronnie gets up.
Yeah, this is one. Take Temple hasn't had the touches tonight on offense. Be one of them games like, come on, I want one, but you're up too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's even back in midget football, we're playing and the team's not really good, and we jump up so early. So coach started the game with, all right, you're not playing both ways. You'll play the first half on offense, the second. Who wants to play offensive line? Like, you'd rather play defensive line, and then the score's like it is here in the second half. Coach is like, I'm going with all the 2s and 3s. I'm
Right.
like, we had a deal, man. I want my sacks. I want my tackles. I practice all daggone week. And that's my selfishness, but also to see how well they work together, that we don't have that here.
As George takes the handoff. He's so shifty.
Well, the offensive line, before we got on the air, we were talking, and one of my concerns was they hold up okay, probably good pass blocking, but not able to establish a run. And tonight that we're able to do that so well, then hopefully it can continue to grow, because it's hard to go from 0 to efficient. But to have these steps in there and have some more belief behind what you're doing.
3rd and 5 here for Vineland, and
Figueroa looks good.
Figueroa looks great. It's good to see him back healthy, because he adds such a dynamic to this offense out of the backfield as he takes the handoff, runs upfield, bullies his way for a first down. Does George Figueroa the third.
Ben Rojas Torres will probably our 6th pancake block on the by Skills. They are just destroying them with their wide receivers blocking.
And Coach told me about George early in the season this year and said, watch out for him. He's going to be somebody to watch. He's going to be a playmaker. And he reminds me of like a circuit board when you see the electrical current running through the different circuits. The way that he just bounces as soon as the ball is in his hand. You almost don't see him because of how quick he is. He almost becomes invisible. It's unbelievable how fast he is. This one's handed off, and a first down there for Omar Davis.
And Figueroa is hard to find back there, listed at 5'7". He's hard to find, and he sets blocks up, and he has side-to-side movement at full speed. I mean, there are things that are really only going to get better moving forward, but I always had a hard time on defense, like finding that small back.
1st and 10 from the 25.
Old school Charlie Garner. You couldn't find him, and he'd finish forward and get 4 every carry.
Antoine Witt, the quarterback, stays with it on the keeper. And there's a flag.
A little bit of a hold on the top of that.
And while Witt provides a lot of similarities to Elijah at the quarterback position, he does provide a little bit of a different look, and he's just as talented to watch, and to know that you have another quarterback behind your freshman who can deliver for you and play an entire half with ease has got to be a great feeling for Coach Hendricks and for Coach Guzman on the offensive side of the ball.
And this half, there's just been one miscommunication, open the wrong way or back went the wrong way, one or the other. Just one play that wasn't executed properly.
Antoine Witt and Omar Davis line up in shotgun. This one's handed off to Ron Temple on the reverse. Ronnie Temple all the way into the end zone for a touchdown.
Well, I didn't think they're going to have time to get it to Temple. Oh, there's a flag. Well, outstanding block down there. But you're up by too much, you may get a call on it, but it was great. Again, it's just been the story of the night, is this downfield blocking.
Feels like anytime we get a little bit of open space, we get a call against us at this point.
And I've been on the other side of this for a decade. But we talked about leading in all the flags we're going to be seeing. We're quickly down to 5:45. So touchdown stands. Penalty be enforced on the kickoff.
Ron Temple with, I believe, his 2nd touchdown of the season. His first came back. This kick is up. And it's good. So with 5:45 remaining, it's 54-0 Vineland. It's Ron Temple's first touchdown on offense this year, if I'm not mistaken. His first touchdown of the season came on that punt return against ACIT back in week 1.
All Vineland all the time. Student section got what they wanted, and it's become a little bit of an atmosphere you want to be a part of, so can't wait for next one and see what we have going on. As Atlantic City is going to come in and present a tough challenge for the Fighting Clan, but if you have playoff aspirations, that's going to be one you're going to need.
Should be next Friday night here at Gittone Stadium against Atlantic City. Very much looking forward to that matchup. As whenever those two teams have met over the past couple of seasons, it's always been a great matchup.
And hearing the score last week before I got to watch it, it's like, And then when I'm watching it, it's a play here or there, you know, and it was a much tighter game than the score. Not that the score was that horrible, just 2 scores, but after I watched it, I felt a lot better than just reading the score.
As Morello sends this one deep, takes a nice roll. It will be returned. And taken down by a collective of Fighting Clan defenders is the return man for Clearview.
Did a nice job on that. You know, you get the ball after it rolls by, you turn around, there's 4 Vineland players. It's like, you know, trying to swim through a shark-infested waters. And he did a really nice job getting a little bit of an edge. So we're under 4 minutes, just that quick. Band's not going to be able to get all their songs in tonight.
Right. Had a great halftime performance, though, for their first run of the season.
Hey, you got to tell your buddy, like, we missed the drum off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My good pal Tyler Steinbrunn, the head of the drum line down there for the Fighting Clan Marching Clan.
That could go right in front of the student section.
Wouldn't be surprised when that makes a return next week against Atlantic City.
As long as you make the phone call. It's all on you, Kyle. Nothing doing on that dive.
Nice tackle by Donnie St. Jean there.
Field 32.
Not sure why the official scoreboard here at the stadium is still reading 53-0. That extra point was good.
Oh, it's the band Kills Believer. So perfect because that's what tonight was. You're 2-2. You've got to not just win, you've got to show something tonight, getting ready for next week with AC that's ahead of you in the playoff rankings, needing a W there. And as you tell the narrative of the season, it's not in games, it's in the progression and step in the right direction, building up anticipation for next week. It's almost like you got to hurry to tackle him before your buddy does.
Yeah.
Well, defensive side of the ball has to be thrilled pitching this shutout. The offensive side just continued to roll all game with new players in the second half. New quarterback at the helm.
I think last year, Coach Smith's defenses pitched 3 shutouts on the season, maybe 4. I'll have to go back and check that for next week, but on their way are the Fighting Clan with under a minute and a half to go here in this one, as this one's handed off to a 3rd shutout on the season.
That's Hill, the sophomore linebacker, making a nice tackle in the hole. We got a lot of New Jerseys in there.
So you start your season with 2 consecutive shutouts. Kind of hit a bit of a rough patch. A little bit of lack of attention to detail football and some of the aspects against Eastern and Pennsauken. You come home for the first time, get some home cooking, your home fans.
And no special teams giving up yards on block punt, a bad snap, or too much pressure trying to run like last week where that's all you could do. You know, that was going to get blocked, the one that set them up inside the 10 last week. So none of that great field position given away. We've got 20 seconds and running. Don't know that they're going to snap it. I don't think the official's going to make them. But they do.
This one's punted away. And it'll be returned by Xavion Diaz, who makes his way up past the 35, up past the 40, the 50, down just shy of the 40.
It's like having your finger on the trigger there. Enough of a hold in the middle that if he broke that loose, the flag was going to come flying out.
But that is the ball game. Your Fighting Clan with a big-time 54-0 win over Clearview in their home opener here for the 2024 season in their acetate gray uniforms. A dynamic performance start to finish in all three phases for Vineland tonight. Bunch of players getting involved in the scoring. Elijah Calderon had a fantastic first half. Antoine Witt came in the second half and kept the game in check, also delivered some great plays. And the defense brought the boom, drive in and drive out. And Vineland walks away with their third shutout of 2024, 54-0 your final.
And that's a fantastic place to be at, as next week, get here early. Do not miss the start of this, because when the people finally got in, it's 28-0. Well, next week is the test that's going to measure this team, as we have Atlantic City coming in, Kyle.
6 p.m. start time next week against Atlantic City here at Gittone Stadium.
On a Friday, believe it or not.
A Friday game, Rich. Jeez. It's super exciting to have Friday night lights here at Gittone Stadium. Big thank you to Doug Diola and our entire production staff for making tonight's broadcast happen. Be sure to subscribe to the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any future broadcasts. And come out to Gittone Stadium next Friday night, 6 p.m., as your Fighting Clan take on Atlantic City. For my partner, Rich Scarpa, I'm Kyle Bennett. Once again, your final score, 54-0. Vineland takes home the W. Everybody have a safe and fun weekend, and we will see you back here next Friday night against Atlantic City. And as always, go Vineland.